What's up, guys? So I'm going to go over a number of issues for these ANZO USA headlights. This is the full kit for a 15 to 17 F-150, and I've now done an install, a deinstall, and a reinstall twice on these because of issues that came up that nobody told me about. And so I'm hoping that I can go over some of these things, cover them for you, and then you won't have any of these issues, or you'll know what to look for while you're doing the install. And that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of cuts on your hands. So first thing is, I ordered these through Stage 3 Motorsports, and they sent me these Oracle H7 LEDs that come with the kit, that are part of the kit when you buy this whole thing. I'll put a link in the description below. They came separately from the rest of the housing. So this kit includes headlights with the projector and the bulbs for the front, comes with the taillights in the rear, and it comes with a third brake light. So they never told me that these were going to come in 4 separate packages. So I got a massive box with these, and then I got a tiny box 3 days later with the bulbs, which doesn't really help that much. So here I am 3 days later doing a reinstall on the LEDs, adding them in, because as I've discovered, one of the things that nobody tells you is, yes, you can access the headlight panel from underneath the wheel well, but it's more of a it's way worse to get at, and it's a lot harder to repair the push pins that go in there than it is to just simply pull the whole housing out and install the H7s this way. You're going to have to maneuver the little pins that hold the bulb into place, and to do that you're going to need an area to actually like pry them apart and do that. So it's going to be a lot harder to do from under the wheel well. If you have a lift or something like that for your truck and you can just pull the wheel off, then probably that's going to be the easier method. But by no means am I an experienced mechanic. I just do a lot of garage wrenching. So but anyway, hopefully let's see if these things can help you out. There's a lot going on. My truck's been sitting around for a while, so let's go to stage 1. Okay, so first things first, to pull the housing out, you have to get at a number of things. The first issue that I ran into is, now that I've pulled this off twice, so the fender comes apart, there's a pin right here that you'll take out. There are 2 screws right under here. They look like this. So you have 1 and 2. As soon as you get underneath this, there's a push pin right here, and this whole housing is part of the air dam. So it starts right here underneath, runs between these 2 rubber pieces, comes under here. This is attached to the whole piece that's underneath the headlight assembly. So you have to be sure that when you reinstall, this thing gets attached, because otherwise this will flap around. And if you wanted to remove this whole assembly, you have to pull these pins, and they're so difficult to get out that I have broken 3 of them in the process. And I've called the dealer, and they said they'll sell you more, but they're $4.99, and I'm pretty sure that that's not worth $4.99. So these stupid little pieces of plastic are in about 6 different places, and I think the best way to do it is to avoid taking these out as many times as you can, for sure. So first things first, make sure that you have some pliers, some sort of screwdriver. You're going to need a 10mm socket. Then you're going to need an extension, preferably one that's at least this long or longer. Then you're going to need another small socket with an extension. You're going to need an 8mm and a 7mm. So there are 3 different size bolts that go in here, and they don't mention that. Some of the other reviews I've seen have said that all the bolts are the same size, or that they differ from side to side. I haven't found that to be the case. But anyway, the first part is going to be getting this right here. So what I'm going to do is pull these little bolts out. See, and I got the wrong size. These 2 bolts. They're not super tight. Even the first time I did this, this truck is covered in mud. It currently is missing a back wheel, so I can't take it anywhere and wash it. If you can clean your truck before you do this, probably make it a little bit easier. You don't have to go through the dirt and grime. But think it'll work out okay. So these two are going to come off. If you don't already have a system of making sure that you know where your nuts and bolts are, make sure you do that, because these are hard to come by, as I've discovered. So here's the worst part of the whole thing, is getting your fingers in here. I've pulled this off a couple of times, so now it doesn't hurt that bad. But I would wrench this way, get some space, pull the bottom pin first, and then you'll see right here, so there is a bottom pin, and then there's a yellow pin. I think different years may differentiate. This one gets stuck in the tab, and then pull this third pin right here. Oh, see, broke it. Tab is super hard to get out, so gently, instead of wrenching it with your fingers, I sort of gently pulled it out with the pliers. This off to remove this part. This is the next bit. There's also a tab right here that I broke, and this holds this whole housing on. So this piece comes off as one. It's pretty easy to do. It's held in these three tabs right here. Pull this off, and there's that yellow tab. From this side is just pinch it with the pliers to squeeze the tabs, and then push it through. And this will save you a lot of hassle. And then you don't break it, because I already broke this part, and it slides back into part of the housing. So as you can see, this plastic is flimsy at best and doesn't need to be removed. So next piece, you have two different size bolts now. So you're going to start with your smaller. The order you do this in doesn't seem to matter too much, but you have one right here, starts right here, right at the fender. Then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's an 8th that I'm missing. So it's a good thing I'm redoing the install on this one. Then the first 3 that you can remove will go first. So you have 10 mils down here that go 2 different directions. So I'm going to grab my 10 mil socket, pull these off. If you had an electric socket, this would be a lot faster. Now you can see this piece is loose, but now I have to switch to the 8 mil, and you're going to need your extension for the 8 mil to get at the second piece. So you have the 8 mil and the 10 mil are slightly different. The two 8 mil bolts look like this. They're a slightly different thread. It's one of the big things. And these two, you know, are the end bolts. So that's going to make the biggest difference. Then your last one, make sure you don't miss right here. See if you can see that. This is on wide angle, so right here. And there's another bolt right here. Then you're going to remove 1 and 2. These are 10 mil bolts. And then inside, I don't know if this is going to focus right now. Inside there's another 10 mil bolt. It's black. Do not remove the 2 larger bolts. Those are attached to the firewall. Save yourself the trouble. I like to just store these right here on the 2 little openings in the hood, so I know where they are. And something worth noting with the ANZOs is they have a tab here that clicks into place. So now that I'm removing them, if you ever decide to get rid of these and swap them out for different headlights, try not to break this tab. So what I did was push it forward here and then lift up and out, and that'll keep you from breaking it. This piece, I'm missing this bolt right here. Just like I said, so try not to forget those. Another one. And now you have to get at, so how are you going to do that? Go underneath the wheel right here where you pull this, and there's a pin right here. So again, I'd recommend, see if this one might actually, because I took it out already, I might be able to do it with my fingers. Yeah, so this little sucker breaks really easily, and normally you would maneuver like a screwdriver or something if you have a wedge. And now you can see this whole piece is loose. So this is part of that air dam that's in the front. So you want to make sure this goes back into place before you install everything, because some of the screw holes through here will allow you to come out. Now the last thing is that there's a tab right here, and you don't want to break it, but the piece won't come out if you don't pinch it and then wedge this out. If you just rip this piece off, it will break. So be cautious of that so you don't have to replace this whole piece, because go figure, from the dealer, it's like $90. So this one I can do with my fingers. On the other side, I had to use pliers to get it off. And that's this little tab right here. And you can see it just pops back into place. So now that those two are off, okay, now I've got these two bolts are out. Now the last one is this last 10 mil inside here, and it's sort of hard to get the wrench into place because it's directly behind where these two tabs meet. And this doesn't matter if you have the ANZOs in already or the stock headlights, this is in the way. So you sort of have to push to get down in there and get it on. Get your wrench in place. Look at, if you're using a socket, this is something you'll run into, unless you're a lot smoother than I am, which is totally possible. You're just going to keep bumping the thing because it's always in the wrong spot. Keep twisting the other direction. So this one's really hard to get out unless you have a magnet attached. So all I did was pull the headlight housing out and then grab the bolt when it fell. Or the other option is just leave your extension on, pull the socket off, and you can pop it right out. There you go. Put it with the other two. So now we have the air dam is gone. These little pins right here all line up. So you need to make sure, oh, here I missed. Nope, so this one doesn't actually need to come out. And now the housing comes right off. Okay, so once you get back here, now the housing's off, and the ANZOs come with these two cables, two wires that come out the back. They're the ground for the switchback function, and I tried many times to make this work. I had some issues, and now my blinker thinks that there's a tail light out. So that's something I still have to work out. But you have the three, this is really simple, plug and play connectors, exactly like just remove these three from the back of the stock headlights. This cable with tape wrapped around it will be attached to something. You can just simply put it back right here. There's a little fin, the bottom one, and then this main one. What you want to do is oh, there you go. That's why. See, severed a wire. Go figure. So here's my problem, is I severed this wire, and now it thinks I have a headlight out, which I do, because it's probably not going to have the blinker go in the front. So that's going to be an issue. But you have these vampire clips that come with the kit. And so you have the ground wire that comes on the ANZOs, needs to get spliced in with the bottom one closest to the tab, ground wire closest to the tab. The colors don't matter. I think that'll just be more confusing. And then the top one on the other side, right here, is going to get attached to the directional cable. So if you're better with wires than I am, you'll probably have a better time with this. And potentially I can just electrical tape these back together. We're going to see what happens. That's great. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this. So these are the vampire clips that come with the ANZO kit. They're really easy to break, this tab, so be super careful with them, or maybe have some extra ones in hand. As you can see, this is the wire I'm trying to repair, so I'm going to try to tape these two back together. Again, ground wire goes in here. The one thing that I was having trouble with was getting the splice in properly at the beginning. Make sure that these tabs, as you can see, are flush all the way down. Did that by just grabbing them with the pliers and squeezing them down. The first 2 times I tried it, I wasn't getting a good ground because this was not closed all the way. And you'll see that teeth in there, once you close it down, allows you to get that good connection. And that's what enables the switchback function. So now that I've busted this, that's why there's a light out. So I'm going to try to duct tape this, or electrical tape this back together by pulling this off. So this little tooth in the middle, I'm going to attempt to grab with the pliers and pull back out. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I was able to pull this little piece back out, and I just wedged a screwdriver, or this little flat piece in here, wedged it open that way, and then just grabbed this with the pliers and pulled it up so it's open very carefully. And leave it there, and then attempt to, just holding onto the headlight, I'm going to disconnect this housing. This is exactly what it'll look like when you do this with the stock. So here now, this piece is clipped onto here. Just carefully pull that off. It grabs pretty tightly. And then bottom one. This, I got a better grip on it. So now here's the base of the housing. Now my wires are still grounded, so I can't yank this away. But here's the two that I'm going to try to connect back together. Ooh, I might be screwed. Damn. Disclaimer, by no means am I an electrical engineer. This is not my thing, so if you guys are commenting that I have no idea what I'm doing, you're right. Feel free to dial the helpline and let me know what I should be doing instead. Okay, so for the sake of time, instead of messing around with that anymore, I'm going to show you guys how this works. So, big part of this, back cap comes off, super easy. Pull, so hopefully you can see. There's a simple pin, you gotta push down, it attaches, flips back. So this side was the driver's side is a lot easier than the passenger side. For some reason on the passenger side, the housing gets in the way. I think because the pin goes both the same direction on the other side, so this gets in the way. Here's the original halogen bulb. Just gently pull it out. It's like a socket in your house. Set that aside. And here's the new housing for the H7. There's this tab right here. It's going to go down. There's a space. You'll see how it fits. Nice and simple. Then you have to connect this side from the ballast. Also a tab. Make sure they match up. Should go in pretty well. And now the trick is, what I had to do on the other side is to get this around the housing, because otherwise it'll get stuck just like this, stuck in the vent, is I spread these apart with my fingers and pushed it around this way. The stage 3 installation says that you can do this with like a push something. However, you'll see I'm about to do it with my thumb. So, and there, now it's seated. So just pull the two apart, push them around the outside, and then the ballast, there's plenty of space for it on the inside. So they do give you zip ties that you can zip tie to the inside. Oops, try not to break everything. However, there aren't really a lot of spots to zip tie this to. But what I will do, looks like a wall outlet, and it goes right back into this. This side has positive and negative, and it should match up just perfectly. Tucks right in there, and then what I'll do is just wrap this. So there's these two on the ballast right here. There are little spaces. I'm just going to take that, stuff it inside the housing, and zip tie this around. You just put that cap back on, and ta-da, H7's installed. All right, fantastic. So now I have the H7 is in. You can see this pattern. I was able to splice the wires back together so the switchback function does work. And I no longer have the strange click like the lights out. You can see just how good this looks on both sides. And so this is so much clearer with this DRL position. Now there's some other videos that I'm sure you guys can find on how to manipulate the DRL to be orange if you want it to be, or the amber color. And then some people have talked about replacing this blinker light, which I'll probably do eventually, but not for now. So I'm just super happy that the LEDs are in. Also, if nobody else mentions this to you, be sure that you know you can adjust these. All you need is a little screwdriver to go right here. There's a little one at the top. So we'll just go a little walk around of how this looks. You can see that function. The LED is super bright, and how good the, uh-oh, is my turn signal not working? Well, we'll see how this looks from the back. So there's the ambers on the side, turn signal looks there, back one, and I'm missing a wheel. Okay, so we got everything in. The light's in, it functions, we checked it, so now we're gonna go basically backwards. So here's a couple of things to keep in mind. So I start with these two right here at the top. Put these ones back in. This is a 10 again, and make sure this little tab clicks into place. That's how you know it's set. And then also this little tab should sit in this groove. That's 1, 2, and this one in here. So I found the easiest way to do this is to take your extension, just stick the bolt on there, and then kind of gently play go fish. The light is really hard to see, but it's much harder. This is so you don't have to get your fingers in there, and then once it's actually seated, then I can reattach it to the socket. And you can make sure that's good because the housing should sit solid. Wipe off all of that. Okay, next thing's next. So now this air dam is going to have to sit like this. So these pieces, keep in mind, so these little tabs, originally I broke the one on the other side, are going to need to be here once you put this piece back on. So the first thing you need to do is remember the air dam is going to sit right between these two. So this tab, oh, it's upside down. This tab right here, we pull out at the beginning, it's going to have to go back into that spot, and it should just click back in. And then what I did is grab underneath for the air dam, try to match up the holes, so you should have your indents where this works. So what I ran into the first time is that some of these do not actually match up at the beginning. So what you got to do is check that the little tabs that surround the holes actually match up. And then I used these 8mm ones that go right on the end to start this, there's a couple of ways you can do this. Pound that in. Use your hand to pull this together, the whole thing. Do that first, and then you'll be able to see when you mess with this that some of these holes don't quite match up. So you can manipulate the air dam from underneath, or you can also do it from this side to kind of push it around and find out where the holes match. And make sure none of these aluminum tabs get in the way, because that's going to ruin your ability to get it back in. So the other thing I did was nuts and seated before I started actually buttoning this back down. And again, this way to do this was to just pull the socket itself off and screw it in this way so your fingers don't get in the way. And then you know when it's seated, because it should, there we go, start going in place. This one is crucial. The only way to get your wrench in there is to pull this out of the way. Again, try not to break anything else. Then I'm going to go across this way. So I button this one down first so nothing moves. Try to get all the holes in place. So I'm just going to stick that. This one matches up fine. Just finger tighten that real quick. The other ones. Push the dam from underneath and make sure that this bolt actually seats, because if you don't, you'll have a floppy fender well underneath, and it's just really annoying. Probably end up damaging, especially if you're running 35s on your truck. I'm running 33s, so it doesn't seem to be an issue with scraping, but I have a feeling that if you were rubbing with 35s, you could probably rip your fender well out completely. So that's in. And then, so like this one doesn't line up all the way. So what I did was I pulled the air dam down from the inside and did it that way. And then it's never as easy as they make it look. So there's a problem, if it doesn't seat, it'll slip. And you have to play with the air dam to make sure that it goes in, because otherwise this will just pop right out. So go back across. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts, plus 1, 2, and 3 black ones. Then push tab right here, and then 1, 2 small bolts. You also have a push tab right here once you put this piece back on. Okay, so here's one of the many things I missed. If you don't make sure that these tabs right here do not seat back into the dam, is a big part of why the holes wouldn't match up. And then that goes together much better, and it'll bring the air dam where you need it. Original halogen bulb that comes with the ANZOs, and these are the Oracle LEDs that I just dropped in. This is now an LED, and this is the original halogen. Trash. Huge difference. You can see how much brighter that's going to be at night. Here's the DRLs in the front. Nice white LED strip. Peg leg. And these are the nice DRLs in the back. Red LED strip. And the top lights up. Even in the sun, you can see them pretty darn well.